And good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock. Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm Anne Marie Tiernan. Let's get to the latest headlines for you on this Friday afternoon. Vice President J.D. Vance is in Indianapolis today. He is expected to meet with members of the GOP Senate caucus about redistricting. This happens to be the VP's second trip to Indy in just the last 2 months. Our Jenna Webster joins us at the State Library right now with the very latest on the visit. Jenna.
Well, yeah, Anne Marie, we did see the motorcade arrive here at the State Library about 10:30. As of right now, we do believe he is still inside. We have not seen the motorcade leave, but we do anticipate that happening really any minute now, because at 11:18, we did see Governor Braun post also confirming that they did discuss redistricting today. I want to read you what he said. "I appreciated the thoughtful discussion about how our state is serving Hoosiers through common sense and strong leadership. We discussed redistricting and the importance of ensuring fair representation for every Hoosier. I look forward to continuing our partnership to keep Indiana and America moving in the right direction." Again, the vice president arrived about an hour and a half ago. This is his second visit in 2 months to Indiana. We can't forget that Republican lawmakers also traveled to the White House in D.C. Just weeks after the vice president's first visit in August. You know what they exactly have discussed inside this meeting with Republican lawmakers. We're going to be working to learn that a little bit more later today, and kind of how lawmakers are reacting, if this has changed their mind at all. But they were reportedly meeting with the Senate caucus because that is reportedly where some of the holdout is when it comes to redistricting. We did talk to an IU political science professor yesterday who believes this second visit from Vance is just them putting the pressure on this to get this done. Again, Texas has redistricted. They've redrawn their maps. Missouri has redrawn their maps. Indiana has been discussing it now for months, but we haven't really seen any movement towards calling a special session. Governor Braun has said that could be between November and early next year in January. He says he really wants it to be this kind of organic decision from lawmakers that they feel comfortable doing it. So again, kind of in a holding pattern to see if that special session is called. But you know, if this IU professor wants to say that Vance is putting the pressure on Indiana lawmakers to get this done, I think that's something that Democrats really feel is happening. A few weeks ago when Pete Buttigieg was here at that rally at the State House, it was something that Democrats talked about a lot, really focusing on comments that Braun made on a Fort Wayne radio station, WOWO. And I want to read you that direct quote. He said, "If we try to drag our feet as a state on it, probably we'll have the consequences of not working with the Trump administration as tightly as we should." That's a direct quote from what he said on the radio station. He later clarified to 21 Alive News, our NBC affiliate there, that he was talking about maybe missing out on benefits from the federal government, such as the Department of Agriculture. It actually is an organization that filed a FOIA request last week to see for any written communication between the governor and the White House when it comes to redistricting. It'll likely be a long time before we learn if anything comes out of that request. So a lot of different opinions from Democrats and Republicans about what might happen. But again, in that holding pattern to see kind of what comes out of that meeting with the vice president today, Anne.
All right, Jenna Webster reporting live for us today. Thank you very much. Very comprehensive insight to what's setting the table for this. This is a live look at the State House downtown right now. Hoosiers are gathering there. They are rallying against the redistricting efforts. Their opinion, Indiana does not need to be a part of the agenda that Washington insiders are pushing. This rally comes after the Indiana Democratic Party issued a statement surrounding the VP's trip today. We looked at it and it says in part, quote, "Republicans are incredibly scared of facing the voters in the midterm elections in just a year's time. They know that Hoosiers and Americans are feeling the pressure from rising health care premiums, shrinking child care options, and tariff taxes raising costs and putting families' farms in danger." We're going to stay on it. We've got our teams all ready for comprehensive coverage for you as we continue to follow the developments from the rally today, and also how that meeting with the vice president went with our GOP lawmakers. Our news coverage continues 24/7 on all WTHR platforms, and our next newscast after this one will be at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And now new this afternoon, the man convicted in the death of an IMPD officer back in court today and resentenced for his part of the crime. Interesting, though, here that bottom line for Elias Dorsey, he won't spend any additional time in prison, even though he received 14 more years for one of the charges. Dorsey is serving time for killing Officer Breanne Leath in spring of 2020. He also was convicted of confining and attempting to murder his girlfriend. Well, today, In court, a judge resentenced Dorsey for that criminal confinement because the Court of Appeals said it was a more serious crime than he was originally sentenced for. The sentence went from 2.5 years to 16. However, it will be served at the same time as his other convictions, so it will not add any years to the overall sentence. Our Marina Silva in the courtroom this morning as that decision was made, and coming up as our news continues today at 4, she'll have the strong reactions to the development today and who says the sentence for Elias Dorsey is still not right. Turning to weather now. Outside, it's Friday. We love Friday so much.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. It is bright and it's sunny out there. We've had these cooler days. We're in the 60s right now, but we're going to get up to 70, huh?
I think so. Maybe a little higher than that in a few spots. Comfortable. We're putting the 80s on the back burner for now. We'll see if we're totally done with them yet. I'd be okay with that. I want to take you back to this morning. If you slept through it, it was the coolest morning in Indy since the 1st of June. Now, we always talk about Indy's heat island, where the city's pavement kind of retains heat. So 43 in Indy, but look at Muncie at 35. 35 in Kokomo, the chilly spot this morning, not on the map here, but Crawfordsville got down to 33 this morning. Look at the quick recovery. So we're already in the 60s, and we should hit at least 70 to about 73 degrees, and these numbers compared to 24 hours ago at this time, anywhere from 2 to locally 5 degrees warmer. So just a beautiful afternoon in progress. It's a southwest wind right now. We're still thinking there's going to be some cloud cover on the increase. We can already see it from our camera here in Bainbridge. Have that football forecast for Operation Football as well as tailgating Sunday at the Colts game.
Sean, thank you. Death row inmate Roy Lee Ward was executed by lethal injection overnight at the state prison in Michigan City in Indiana. Ward was sentenced to death for the rape and the murder of this young lady, 15-year-old Stacy Payne, that occurred in Spencer County. Now, according to WFIE in Evansville, a church in Payne's hometown held a vigil to support her family just before that execution. Ward's execution follows the state rejecting requests for clemency. The state's attorney says the execution was necessary due to Ward's long criminal history. His execution marks the third since Indiana resumed the death penalty last year. Indiana Governor Mike Braun issuing a statement following that execution today, saying in part, Roy Lee Ward's case has been heard and reviewed numerous times by both state and federal courts, including the Indiana Supreme Court, ever since that conviction in 2002. It then goes on to read, today, Ward's sentence has been carried out as ordered by the court. We also received notice of Ward's last words, which state Brian is going to read them, possibly referring to a prepared statement to be released by his attorney. We're looking into that. As we learn more, we'll bring you not only on this newscast, but also at WTHR.com. An Indianapolis rehab program for men freshly out of prison now say they're running out of money. Without new funding, several residents could lose their housing and supervision. Our Alex Almanza explains what this means for public safety and also for second chances.
This small Indianapolis home has served as a bridge between incarceration and independence. It's one of several houses run by KBDV Inc., a nonprofit that helps men coming out of prison, including those on the sex offender registry, find housing, jobs, and stability.
We redirect, support, and encourage those who's returning home from prison. We just recently started offering housing.
Dominique Harris says her mission is to reduce recidivism by focusing on counseling, community, and compassion.
But that word really means something. Recidivism is when someone returns to prison. We want to reduce that. And the way we reduce that is by giving them resources.
That mission is now at risk. Harris says the program's funding came through the Department of Corrections RSAT grant, a state program that helps pay for sober and reentry housing. She says it's part of a larger funding shortage across Marion County that's forcing some reentry and sobriety programs to scale back or shut down completely.
The first thing I thought about is how this is going to affect my guys. I was actually calling around looking for additional support and funding, and everyone is out of funding. Everyone is around here scrambling.
One of her residents told 13 News that without this home, he'd likely be homeless or back behind bars. After decades of cycling through the prison system, he says this program has been the only thing keeping him steady and sober. Harris fears what could happen if those supports vanish overnight.
My location is approved for sex offenders, releasing them back into the community without resources. Like I said, what do you think they're going to do?
For now, Harris says she hopes funding returns, but there are no guarantees on when or if it does.
A 14-year project to clean up our rivers now is finally complete. The Dig Indy tunnel system took more than a decade and $2 billion to come to fruition. Now the tunnel system is essentially a big storage tank. It's hundreds of feet beneath the city, and it's busy collecting more than 250 million gallons of overflow every time it rains. The Dig Indy Capital Program says that this marks the fulfillment of a legal order against the city from the EPA and the Department of Justice to clean up the system. The Dig Indy Tunnel System is one of the largest civil infrastructure projects in the history of Indianapolis.